concludes the broadcast from World Control.
Have you stood looking up at more jet trails than you ever remember seeing before? Unlike normal contrails, which are usually short in length and short-lived, these thick white plumes linger for hours. Laid down by two or more aircraft in crisscrossing X patterns, tic-tac-toe grids, or perfectly parallel rows, chemtrails turn clear blue skies into a milky overcast, in spite of forecasts calling for sunny weather. The U.S. military and other government agencies deny that anything unusual is happening. Federal aviation authorities insist that these are normal flight operations. In March 2000, when the U.S. Air Force grounded hundreds of KC-135 jet tankers to fix problems in their tail feathers, chemtrail sightings across the United States dropped from 24 locations to just 2. As the big jets were returned to service over the following week, chemtrail activity climbed right back to previous levels. Someone is stealing our skies. You know it's not passenger planes making these patterns, for these close crossing aerial formations often take place far from charted airways or navigational beacons and break all the rules regarding the permitted proximity of commercial aircraft. Watch carefully, and you can see artificial overcasts being made by 3- and 4-engine jet tankers, usually all white or sometimes silver in color. Even individual commercial planes, such as this MD-80 airliner, have been observed with unusually thick trails coming from their tail or wing-mounted engines. In the U.S. Air Force report on owning the weather, weather force specialists refer to these spraying operations as aerial obscuration. Contrails like this one usually form at high altitudes when the water vapor in hot engine exhaust momentarily condenses into wispy condensation trails. Though they can sometimes linger, according to the Air Force and Canadian aviation authorities, contrails usually vanish within a minute, like the wake behind a boat. Chemtrails are formed at lower altitudes and do not dissipate. These broad white ribbons are often observed below aircraft flying at higher altitudes that leave no contrails at all. These photographs and video clips were taken in 1999 and the year 2000 over Gabriel Island, Victoria, and Vancouver, British Columbia, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Sallisaw, Oklahoma, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Las Vegas, Nevada, Houston, Texas, Columbus, Ohio, and many other locations across the United States. What is going on? After 20 months of research by this investigative journalist and some dedicated researchers, we still don't know for sure. But we do have some compelling clues. A recommendation by the father of the H-bomb, a feasibility study by the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, and a patent held by Hughes Aerospace all for spraying clouds of aluminum oxide and other highly reflective metallic particles into the greenhouse gas layer between 24,000 and 42,000 feet. The intent is to reflect enough incoming sunlight to slow runaway global warming. When Edward Teller addressed an international seminar on planetary emergencies in 1998, the Earth's lowest temperatures had just been found to be heating up more than 2 degrees Fahrenheit per century. As Teller called for a planetary sunscreen, the strongest El Nino ever recorded saw swordfish beaching in Scotland. Tropical marlin and mahi-mahi were being caught off the coast of Washington State, and the first Category 6 hurricane ever recorded packed sustained winds of 200 miles per hour. Similar superstorms, droughts, and floods killed 50,000 people that year and cost insurance companies a record $92 billion, 3 times the annual dollar cost of the Vietnam War. Bigger than big oil and the international trade in arms, insurance companies handling more money than many once sovereign nations are one of the world's largest sources of investment. Patented a contrail generation apparatus to spray sunlight scattering powders from jets. And in 1991, a patent for stratospheric Wellsback seating for reduction of global warming was filed by the Hughes Aircraft Company. Besides reflecting incoming sunlight, Wellsback materials convert heat trapped by greenhouse gases near the surface of the Earth into far infrared wavelengths that radiate out into space. The Hughes patent suggests that these very tiny metal flakes could be, quote, added to the fuel of jet airliners so that the particles would be emitted from the jet engine exhaust while the airliner was at its cruising altitude. A former engineer for Alcoa Aluminum says that aluminum particles as fine as talcum powder will not harm jet engines. He added that the aluminum exhaust called for in the Sky Shield patent would appear as a pure white plume in the sky. Linked with Alzheimer's and osteoporosis, aluminum is a nervous system toxin that can cause many of the symptoms observed after chemtrail exposure. Evidence of aluminum in chemtrails was found in the summer of 1999 after 550 citizens of Espanola, Ontario, brought a petition before the Canadian Parliament to stop spraying by U.S. tanker planes that appeared to be making many residents sick. At a public meeting on chemtrails, the Ontario Ministry of Environment refused to release their air quality readings, but independent laboratory tests of rainwater samples taken after heavy aerial spraying found levels of aluminum particulates 7 times above permissible safe levels. Other instruments later measured a dramatic drop in solar radiation below these artificial overcasts. The clouds also act as a planetary thermostat, averaging day and nighttime temperatures to make this planet habitable. NASA scientists say that even a small change in this delicate cloud balance can, quote, eliminate global warming or greatly enhance it. Ken Caldeira, a physicist with Teller's climate modeling group at the Lawrence Livermore Labs, warned a conference of geophysicists that spraying chemicals to form a solar sunscreen could destroy the ozone layer and trigger other devastating consequences. Whatever chemtrails are meant to accomplish, the weather is getting worse. 1999 was the hottest